Welcome to episode 3 of the Us and Oceans Live News podcast. Us and Oceans Live News, the podcast. Hello everybody, how are you? My name is Chappell. Welcome back again to Us and Oceans Live News, the organisation to help spread awareness to the people regarding oceans, marine conservation issues and problems by sharing the statements and infos from various marine conservation organisations from various genuine sources for a better health of the oceans, the planet and all the sentient beings that live upon it. So I've had listened back to a couple of my the podcast that I made, the episode 1 and 2, and I've switched microphones for the second one, which is like a lavalier microphone, and I'm back again with the tenor microphone I made. I hope it's not coming out too tinny, which I'm not so sure, but I've moved away a bit more from the microphone so I don't sound so strange. I don't know if it'll sound any better. Just to let you know that you can get in touch with me. The various platforms. If you just look for Us and Oceans Live News on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on Twitter too at Us Bottom Dash Oceans. YouTube. We're on YouTube. The episodes are there. If you want to go there and subscribe and like my videos, you can do that. Also, you can send me an email via. The email address is usandoceanslivenews@gmail.com. So if you can go there, you can ask me any questions. If you're a conservation activist or anything like that, I'd like to talk about marine conservation issues. Just get in touch with me, and I'm sure in the future we can arrange something like a one-to-one via the podcast or something similar to that. Not to not going round about it yet to which ones you would like to do. But today's discussion, I would like to talk about what it is the main issues that we have with the oceans. Why is it that we care so much about the oceans? Obviously, we know that the plastic pollution is one of the reasons that we have to throttle back on. But the main reason is, which is a very controversial one, is basically it's food. This is the main issues: overfishing, whale slaughter, and all the other things that we use to get food out, like getting all the crustaceans and various mussels and things that we start to fight over. Those are the things I like to talk about. And why is it that we, even though we know that people say that meat is bad for you, which I have made my research upon, and it just keeps coming up the same thing. This is the way I do. You see, this is the way I do things. I read upon it, I make my research, and then I'll try and find a counter argument to the research. So let's say I'm gonna try and find out people saying meat is really bad for you, and I read that, and then I find I go on Google and ask, is meat good for you? And then there's some people that will write a blog or something like that, and they give you the heads up on what is good in meat, but But when you compare the two researches that you've made, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't seem to compute, and these tend when you make your research, I tend to lean closer to the do not eat meat solution, which is was obviously because it outweighs the positives outweigh the negatives on the actual meat eating part. So I'm 100% plant based eater. I've been for 8 months now. Vegetarian since over a year now. So that's when I started vegetarian. I switched to vegan because I just found it myself wanted to be vegan anyway, but I found myself being hypocritical if I didn't go the full way. So this is why this is the research I've made today. So basically, I've went just a couple of sites and there's a couple of books that out there. It's like a controversial name one, which is Meat is for Pussies, which is by John Joseph from the Cro-Mags, and he's got a very good book out explaining about all the why meat is bad for you and how to get into the organic side of food, all the organic vegetables. Because Monsanto sort of like take control of all our food that is going on over here. So basically, I want to split this food issue into categories, which is basically bad for the planet, obviously bad for the oceans, which relates then going back to the planet. They're both connected, and then obviously bad for your health. I would like to get into bad for the planet mainly, which is an article found on uh, petalh.com, which is a farmer that has given up his farm, and he said that the reason why he's done it all is when in 2016 the State of Food and Agriculture, the report by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations makes it very clear that we're in big trouble. That climate change related to greenhouse emissions is translating to more extreme and frequent weather events, heat waves, droughts, and rising sea levels. So we will cut down forests and grazing animals, enteric fermentation, which is the methane, leading source of agricultural greenhouse emissions. Is well, like I said, the enteric fermentation is a process in which livestock produce methane via digestion. Methane is a greenhouse gas that absorbs the sun's heat and is a major contributor to the warming temperatures of the planet. Greenhouse emissions will need to be cut by 70% to prevent the continued warming of the planet, which is obviously with the continued growth of the human population around the world. It's going to be very difficult if we don't start changing our diet, to say. The emissions from agriculture in 2014 was 10.6 billion tons of carbon dioxide, also known as the greenhouse gas. The main source of these emissions is deforestation and the enteric fermentation, which is the methane that's digesting. And every time we eat meat, we are supporting the destruction of the Amazon forest. The Amazon once covered 14% of the Earth's surface inland, but today it barely covers 6%. It provides 20% of the world's supply of oxygen and absorbs a large amount of carbon dioxide. Now, I would like to say that as he says provide 20% of the world's supply of oxygen. Well, now where does the other 80% go? Well, I can tell you, I will get into that when we get into the ocean and the side of the things, when they slaughter the whales and dredging all the fish out of the water, and I'll get into that. Um, so so of the world supply of oxygen that's given to the Amazon is 20. We used to be 20%, and absorbs large amount of carbon dioxide. Over half of all plant and animals live on Earth lives in the Amazon rainforest. It represents 54% of all rainforests left on the planet. Meat farming occupies 90% of the converted forests that are cleared. So it just tells you it's not just palm oil or these forests getting chopped down for this palm fat, palm oil. It's 90% of the meat farming is occupying the converted forests that are cleared. And every time we eat meat, we're destroying land that once grew large trees and forests that maintain a healthy, vibrant ecosystem. The trees are often called the lungs of the planet for the role in absorbing carbon dioxide and producing oxygen. Forests are homes for half the planet's wildlife and at least two-thirds of the planet's species of plants. Tropical rainforests, for example, contain over 30 million species of plants and animals. Every time we eat meat, the farmers and feedlots that grow it have use huge amount of land, water, grass, grains, hay, and natural resources. Meat farming is the biggest land use of the planet, using one third of the world's fresh water and crops. It's just one third, which is like literally the third, just to give you that meat that people eat. One third of the world's fresh water and crops. Meat farming is the leading cause of land degradation, soil erosion, and animal extinctions, which is obviously in itself a really bad thing. You think to that when you go to the fridge and there's a steak, people buy the steak, that actually not just contribution to the suffering of the animal being slaughtered and the planet and the forest being cut down. It's just as we cut down the rainforest, we also make these other animals go extinct, and it seems to be very selfish, a selfish gain to have just to have this taste in your mouth that was like a steak or something like that. So so this person talks about when he was born into farming. Obviously, these guys are indoctrinated by the family beliefs and intergenerations of conditioning to do things a certain way. Often, what we see as normal skips over the facts of what is truly going on. It takes a lot to want to know the truth about our beautiful planet and how we contribute to its destruction personally. Now, the science is there. The science is there. We are all experiencing the changes, seeing the extreme weather events, and yet we want to look the other way, justifying our actions and make excuses. Our actions are showing us how we truly feel about the planet and the plants and the animals we share with it. So it's not when people say it's just a cycle. It just doesn't add up when they say, oh, it's this global warming is just a cycle. It just doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. So so growing and eating meat is not about how much we like animals or need meat for our health and well-being. Our bodies do not need meat for our survival. Our bodies thrive on fruit and vegetables. Human health and longevity greatly improves once meat is taken out of our diet. Uh, the only thing that we really do need is what I found when people say, oh, where do you get your protein from? Everyone knows you get it from peanuts, and there's various types of protein out there. Nothing to worry about. We don't need that much protein anyway. But B12 is one of the things that we do need. B12 is very important. It does come from meat. The reason being is when the animals graze from the ground, bacteria is actually in the soil. It cultivates in the soil. When the cows or whatever they eat from the ground, the grass, the soil is attached to it, and obviously they consume this bacteria. This creates this B12, and obviously when we get our fruit and vegetables, we wash the vegetables, so we wash this bacterial cultivation of B12. We washed it right off, so this is why when we get it from meat, we can get it as a substitute. It's not a problem. We don't have to leave the soil on our vegetables. It's the one thing that we should really substitute, which is B12, which is I would say is worth every penny, considering that you're going to be doing great things for the planet and obviously for the animals too. This is the thing is the eating meat is about addiction, and until our attitude changes, we will not change. That's simple as that. We eat meat because we want to. That's the fact. People eat meat because they want to. This is the reason why no one wants to talk about it. Most people don't want to give it up. If we blame something else for why our planet is warming, when we can keep our addiction to eating meat going and be unaccountable for our actions. Well, meat farmers will continue to produce meat while the world demands it, obviously, and if demand stop meat, farmers will change what they farm. Obviously, it's like this dairy farm in America. You were saying this guy, he saw the early onset of there were people Some people reduced the amount of dairy that they were having, and then he changed his whole dairy farm. This is guy's a multi-million dairy farm that he owned, and he changed it to an almond farm, an almond milk farm. Totally changed it around. He's doing pretty penny out of that. So it is possible. We just need to obviously be feeding by buying the stuff. We're feeding the demand. That's basically what it is. Saying the world's problems are too big to change, and that what as an individual doesn't make a difference or won't change anything, gives an excuse. It means they can give addictions and they can keep on eating meat. It means we don't have to change. We don't have to be responsible for their actions. So people are not the problem with the planet. Our planet has plenty of food. If the land used for farming domestic animals is rehabilitated back to the healthy natural ecosystems or used for growing live plant-based foods. A healthy air, running rivers, reliable rainfall, and abundant fresh tasty food will become the norm again. We needed to look. Obviously, they say like they need to look after the farmers. Farmers have adapted for thousands of years. Farmers can adapt again and help save the planet. So it's but we are feeding the demand. So the only way we can stop all this animals is by it's like by using our wallets. We're not buying it. Switching to alternatives and obviously Uh, watch the outcome for it if you all switch. Won't be farming animals in the future that makes a difference. We'll be feeding the soil to feed the intelligent life in the soil that makes a difference. Supporting the microbes, bacteria, fungi, and living creatures that live in the soil will make the soil we need to feed the world's populations and grow new forests. Our farmers can be involved in making this happen. We can't love our planet while we continue to eat meat. Every day the planet is telling us change is coming, whether we like it or not, by what we see, weather change and everything. Every day our planet gets a little bit warmer. Due to climate change, the temperature of our oceans is warming. The ice shelves on both poles are melting, and the coral reefs are dying due to these warmer temperatures caused by the greenhouse gases. There is now a possibility that all coral reefs around the planet will be dead in years to come. These reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, yet support an estimated 25% of all known marine species. To stop this rapid climate change, we are going to have to give up eating meat. What will you choose to do then? So for me personally, it's been pretty easy really to switch. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. There's this day and age, there's so many alternatives. When I found out different nutrients in all the vegetables that I acquire for my body, the omegas and the A's and the B's and the C's in fruit and lots of it in chia seeds. Make sure you have your pulses and your beans and the greens, various colours, you know, and just and all I do was just make sure I have my B12, which is usually fortified in cereals and your alternate milk. There's a lot of B12 in it, but still got to be careful, because some of the B12s that are fortified in cereals, milk, the body doesn't seem to convert it very well. It doesn't absorb it too well, so you have to get this substitute. Best is in a spray form that you can get on Amazon or eBay, but it is possible to do it, and I found it very easy. Really, the only problem is the when you go out eating, the places around you they're just not willing to adapt. It's catching on, but it's very very slow, and it's frustrating at the same time. Uh, so that's the part of the planet where we talk about the planet. Well, I would like to talk about the oceans, which is was a couple of months ago when I saw um, this documentary on YouTube, which was supported by Sea Shepherd, which is definitely a genuine source. If there's anything to do with Sea Shepherd, I believe it, and that is where I come to where we say that 20% of the oxygen is coming from the forest. Where does the other percentages of oxygen come from? Well, not to say that there isn't like 100% of oxygen anymore. So we're destroying the planet at such a rate that we used to have 100% plus, but it's now more like 85, 80%, and it's tragic because the majority of the oxygen actually comes from the oceans, and I will tell you why. What it is these oceans, the oceans is called is a phytoplankton, is the plankton, and part of the plankton family, and what it does, what this the marine life in the oceans, they have a very very coexisting relationship with this phytoplankton, especially the whales, and that's why sea shepherds are so, not just because it's totally unjust to slaughter whales anyway, it's just they have a profound uh, effect on the ocean's ecosystems, mainly also with the oxygen supply, which is these whales that they slaughter, especially the minke whale. These phytoplankton that are in the water, what happens is they feed off the excrement that marine life produce. And these whales, what they do is when they have these huge plumes of excrement that they put in the water, and what they do is they literally do these like loops underwater. And what they do is as the phytoplankton feed on the excrement, what they do is they actually, by doing these loops, they force the phytoplankton and the food that they have to the surface of the water, where the sun will give them photosynthesis, which makes them grow larger, and thus taking out the CO2 from the oxygen, and splitting it, when obviously leaving the oxygen back out into the air, which supplies all living creatures with oxygen. And this is you can find on YouTube, and it was extraordinary to find out about this. This is not just the whale like that's excrement, the fish, various crustaceans. Excrement is one of the natural producers from all living things, and this phytoplankton feeds upon it. Obviously, these whales are like farmers of the ocean, as you can see. They waft these phytoplanktons up to the surface. The sunshine builds up this photosynthesis and photosynthesizes these phytoplankton. They make them grow, and obviously help maintain our oxygen supply. And that is where a lot of the oxygen comes from. And was with killing these whales and overfishing and pulling everything out of the oceans that we have here, pollution and everything like that goes on in the ocean. And it's, imagine one day when we have young children and elderly people that happen to walk around with breathing apparatus, because this 80% of oxygen is, as we're killing all the oceans very slowly, this is going to get reduced to back down to the 20% of oxygen that's created by the rainforest that we're also destroying via this animal agriculture that we have, and obviously the palm oil as well, which is a significant issue with that. And it's just we really are killing ourselves by eating meat, catching whales, slaughtering them, and obviously consuming those, and pulling everything out of the ocean. And it's very unsustainable for the whole planet and the health of all living beings upon it. So then we come to the second, well, this is the third category. I'll come to this third category here, which is our health, which is also very very important, as you know yourself. There's a lot of controversy going around with that, where when we say that meat is very very bad for you, and there's a couple of studies like the China study, and that was done in the 80s, that I've found out that meat is, it's just not good for you. This guy called Colin Campbell, who wrote the China study, he actually, when he found out about what meat causes, that meat causes cancer and various other diseases, he actually tried to disprove what he found. He actually tried to consolidate vitamins that you have in meat, whether it cancels out these bad minerals that are in meat that causes cancer, and he just couldn't find anything. It's just always the same result, that these cells were had always had the same cancer causing component in this meat, in any meat. It was all meats, and it was shocking, really shocking to find that out. One of the main people that are telling you that meat is bad for you, dairy is bad for you, and the eggs too because of the cholesterol, is obviously Neil Barnard, and one other one is Dr. Greger, Dr. Michael Greger, and he wrote a book called How Not to Die. Dr. Greger is a physician and obviously the author and an international recognised speaker on nutrition, food safety, and public health issues. The founding member of the Fellow of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, Dr. Greger is licensed as a general practitioner specialising in clinical nutrition. Currently, he proudly serves as a public health director of the Humane Society of the United States. Dr. Greger is a graduate of the Cornell University School of Agriculture and the Tufts University School of Medicine. So, Dr. Greger is talking to this person, and he's talking to this person called Karen Hartglass, and he's talking about the launch of this book that he has, and he's talking about various things, and one part is about the meat that's causing it. That's the extraordinary new research. In fact, that some of the new research that he's added, that's not up to the website that he has also called nutritionfact.org. Of course, he will put a video on that, which probably has already. It's a real critical piece of information, and it's something that has never been looked at. They've studied vegetarians before, they've studied meat eaters, and so what they've done is they studied meat eaters who have turned into vegetarians. You stop eating meat, and what happens? All the beneficial things for your health, but for the first time, yeah, they're like, wait a second, what about people who have been eating vegetarian feeling so healthy, doing so great? What's the little? And then follow them out, and what happens? They had this extraordinary increase of risk very rapidly. In fact, it really mirrors what happens when people start eating healthy. You know, constantly amazed by the studies sharing all these beneficial effects of eating vegetarian diet. When you look at the average duration of vegetarian diets, typical in these studies is about 4.5 years or so. So we're looking at a middle-aged population, and vegetarians doing so much better than those who eat meat in terms of chronic disease like heart disease, diabetes, obesity, things like that. But they're not comparing vegetarians to omnivores. They're comparing omnivores to omnivores that just stopped being omnivores as a little while ago, just recently. So it's like if you compare smokers to a non-smoker who quit yesterday, they're technically a non-smoker. But if you didn't find different lung cancer rates, you wouldn't be surprised. He stopped smoking the other day, so you'd say that you just stopped smoking. But the remarkable thing about diet is that very rapidly risks drop, which is such a great optimistic message for everyone. You could have been eating crappy the whole life, and then you dramatically drop your risk. But the flip side of that, the study showed, is that your risk can jump right back up, shoot right up very rapidly when one goes back to eating unhealthy standard American diet. So basically, is when you do go into vegetarian, is if you go back to the meat eating part, your risk of having these diseases comes straight back, as quick as a snap of the finger, basically. And he's reading this book. I haven't personally read the book yet, and basically what also Barnard was saying is that it causes diabetes. Well, his father died of it, and knowing what he knows now, he could have really helped his father. It's just a scary thing to think about. It's like I've got two children, and they're not vegetarians. As much as I wish I'd like, wish they would be. It's just this culture basically. There's this fear of like can't do this vegan thing or vegetarian because first of all they wouldn't want to eat it because they might not like it, and second is that it might be unhealthy, even though there's proof out there that it is very healthy. It's just still it's ingrained that it's just not healthy, and I can't even talk about it. My wife's literally forbidding me to talk about the kids about switching to diet because it's just this misconception that having a vegetarian diet is so bad for you. It's because no doctor out there will tell you that meat eating is bad for you because they're just not trained in nutrition as such as nutritionists have been trained. These doctors are literally like they get like a couple of hours training is what is found out. That's all it is. For all these years of doctors training, these doctors literally get a couple of hours of nutrition training. It might add up to a couple of days, but that's it. And there's just not enough out there. And these big companies that are there, they really have these. This is not a conspiracy again, and I'm talking a lot about conspiracy theories, but this is the fact where I've read, well, actually listened to it on one of the interviews where this junior doctor, and he, as he graduated, he had this invite to have dinner with this guy from a pharmaceutical company, and they said that if he would subscribe like 40 subscriptions a week, that he would get free Caribbean cruises and holidays and all this other thing that basically just where he's giving subscriptions, and it just tells you that it just shows you that these companies, they have such power over the food organizations around all these different countries that they don't want you to be healthy. That's downright out of it. And there's this catchment situation where it's harmful for the planet, harmful to your health, but there's such fear of losing money. These big pharmaceutical companies that have huge investments into the chemical companies as well as Monsanto, Syngenta, and all that. They, they just can't. They just can't give in to the fact that meat is bad for you, dairy is bad for you, eggs are bad for you, and any sort of animal product is just bad for you. And it's hard to get over it basically, and this is why the people are they don't call themselves vegan, but 100% plant-based consumers. Basically, they do it a different way. Although it comes with that compassion part of being a vegan is a bonus, they go about it by uh, caring for the planet and caring for the health of the people. Rather than being the activist side of veganism that the vegans portray so fully. And it's a very very. This is why people know what it's like meat in the book Meat is for Pussies when by John Joseph, he was talking about what he thinks that the vegan is the 5 letter curse word where to a woman it's fine. To most women, vegan is a sort of a good word that has a compassion of the animals at heart. But when you say to a man that you're a vegan or do you want to become a vegan, they shy away from it. They get real cringy, and it's they have really really they have really negative thoughts about being vegan. This is why it's so hard to convert these people. Unless it comes from somebody right at the top. Same as with the plastic issue with David Attenborough, when although he's a vegetarian himself, as soon as you said that plastic is killing the oceans, look what's happening. All these plastic reduction programs and all this sort of thing. I wish he'd have said as well that overfishing the oceans and eating meat and all that's causing all this pollution to the oceans and harm to your health. I wish he'd have said that as well. We need somebody big like that to say this. It's very important. There's somebody up there to do that. So So basically, that's the discussion to have with that. So that's all I have to say on these issues. So if you'd like to know more, there's plenty of sources out there you can find out. I listen to the Ritual podcast, which are various people coming on interviews of different uh, aspects of health, environment, also compassion to animals. There's a few on there that were there. If you like more of the extreme versions, you can go to uh, the Hard Truth, John Joseph, the Hard Truth on YouTube. He's got like do some cooking shows. Uh, John Joseph himself, you can follow him on Instagram. He's on Facebook too. Very always good to follow him. If you're a Hare Krishna supporter, he's the one to go to. He's like the hardcore type of Hare Krishna. Yeah, so basically that's where I like to leave it. So hope you enjoyed this episode again. So I've gone a lot longer than before, so it's going to take me ages to download on YouTube until I get some fiber optic broadband in. He's getting on my nuts with this lot. This telecommunication company over here, absolutely hopeless. But hopefully by maybe next month, I think it'll be next month. I don't think they'll do anything now before Christmas, which is going to be day after tomorrow now. So hopefully I'll get these up and running more quicker, so more quality based too. So I hope you like this. If you have any issues with the podcast or any sort of sound issues, I do apologise. I will try and improve. If this microphone is no good, I'll switch back to the lavalier that I have. Hopefully that gets better. Unfortunately, I cannot afford any other microphones. I just don't have that sort of financial uh, positive financial side on that part. So anyway, I like to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. Leave a comment if you like. Like I said, go to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on there. You can find me there. Leave likes, comments. Uh, just help spread the news, guys. That's all I'm asking. There's so much going on out there, that negative stuff. We need to let these people know. And I really, really would like for you to please help let the world know what's going on out there. Share the stuff. And I bid you a very, very nice Christmas over the next 2 days, and I will talk to you after that. So I'll see you later. Bye bye.